Hello everyone, this is the other movie for chapter 3 that we continue from a previous movie. Okay, uh, previous movie we stopped by this slide and now we continue by that slide. So this movie will start from this slide. Okay, this slide is predicting, explaining the changes in prices and quantities. Predicting and explaining changes in prices and quantities. Maybe I think most of you or all of you still remember from previous video distinguish between a change in quantity demanded and a change in demand. This is from previous video. But in this slide, it's similar to previous video, a change in quantity and a change in demand. But in this case, we're talking about supply. Okay, so distinguish between a change in quantity supplied and a change in supplied. So distinguish means try to understand the difference between a change in quantity supplied and a change in supplied. In terms of a change in quantity, something here, or a change in something here, similar to demand. If we're talking about the change in quantity supply, it is a movement along supply curve, that occurs in response to a change in price. Okay, to a change in price. So remember that demand or also supply. When you say or when you talk about a change in quantity supply or quantity demand, it means the quantity, in this case the quantity supply change because of the price change. Okay, the price change. So what does it mean when quantity supply change because of price change? It means that when the price change by become more expensive, producers or suppliers will produce and supply more. Okay, that's why when the price change by increasing, more expensive, seller, producer, supplier, they increase their production and increase their supply and they try to sell more, or they wish to sell more. However, if the price change by drop down cheaper, supplier will or wish to supply less, producer wish to produce less. See, okay, look at this one. I have this point and I have that point. If talking about this one increasing, so when change from this one to that one, when the price go up, you can see the quantity supply also increasing. So when the price increase from $1 per unit to $2 per unit, suppliers, producers, sellers, they wish to sell more. So from 6,000 to 8,000. So equilibrium point, or the point of production, the point of supply, move along the same line or the same curve of supply. Just change from point to point, but on the same curve, same supply. That's why movement along the supply curve. So in this case, a change in quantity supply. However, if we want to talk about a change in quantity, a change in supply, it means that a shift or a movement of the whole supply curve or entire supply curve. So look at this one. You can see supply curve move location from S to S prime. This is a new supply curve. So based on this one, the quantity supply change because of change of the other condition, but not because of change in price. Okay, because other condition. So we will look at later on what are the conditions, other factors, other determinants that change those factors, those other determinants make a supply change. Okay, so you look at this one. Price of the product is still $2 per unit, but because we talk based on this one, the quantity supply or supplier increase their supply from 8,000 to 10,000. Why? Because I based on a row here. So price still the same, but quantity supply in the market. That means suppliers, seller wish to supply more, wish to sell more. Okay, distinguish between a change in quantity supplied and a change in supplied. So they are differently. However, we look at this one, change in Q, change in Q. Q change for this one because of P change in quantity supply. Q change for this case because of the other change, not P change. So P stay the same. Okay, so this is change in quantity supply and change in supply. Change in supply, that means supply curve move to new location. It is found that the shift in supply curve because of changing in cost of production. So the other factor that I mentioned previous slide, there are many factors, there are many determinants, but among those one, cost of production play the main role. Okay, it is found that the shift in supply curve due to changing in cost of production. Okay, what will happen to the equilibrium price PE and quantity, equilibrium quantities of skateboards QE if the price of fiberglass, a substance used for making skateboard, rises? It means that what happened to the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity of skateboard if the material, this is the material they use in order to produce skateboard, if the price of this material increasing. So when the price of this material increasing, what happened? The cost of production will increase. Okay, when the fiberglass increases in price, the cost of skateboard production increase. When the skateboard production increase, leading to lower supply, lower production, lower quantity produced in the factory, and if we use less, the supply in the market also less quantities or less amount. As a result, supply curve shifts to the left hand side and equilibrium price increases but equilibrium quantity decreases. Okay, so this is talking about cost of production. When input prices rise, input price, then we input material, labor cost, capital cost, or maybe technology increase the price, supply curves shift to the left. Okay, I remind you again and again, don't say the shift or move to up, move to down. Don't say up and down, up or move to up or move to down. Don't say that. In order to make easy to remember, just remember that when you're talking about demand or when you're talking about supply, if supply or demand increase, the curve move to the right hand side. When the demand or supply decrease, the curve will move to the left hand side. Okay, so when input prices rise, supply curve shifts to left hand side, causes the equilibrium price to rise and the equilibrium quantity to fall. Okay, look at this one. So this is a demand curve, this is supply curve. Normally demand curve, supply curve cross with each other with one point. This point we call equilibrium. Based on this graph, original equilibrium price $60 per skateboard, and quantity supply and quantities purchased in the market 1,000. So when the price of input increasing, the cost of production also increasing. Cost of production increasing, producer will produce less, supply less. As a result, supply curve move to the left hand side. So new supply curve across or intersect with the demand curve, we got new equilibrium. New equilibrium compared with old one, we can see that high price but lower quantity supply. Okay, high price, lower quantity supply. So this is a new equilibrium. This is old equilibrium, but in this case we're talking about new equilibrium. However, on the other hand, when the input prices fall, that means cheaper, supply curves move or shifts to the right hand side, causing the equilibrium price to fall, cheaper, and equilibrium quantity rise or expansion. Okay, again, this is original equilibrium with the demand curve intersect with the supply curve or cross supply curve house. This is a price in 1,000 per house, and this is number of houses. So when, for example, when the material for construction, housing construction drop down, so construction company or maybe housing company will produce or build more houses. So build more houses, so they can supply more to the market. When they supply more, supply curve move to the right hand side. When supply curve move to right hand side, new supply curve intersect with the demand curve. We get a new point. Compared with old equilibrium, we can see that new equilibrium, lower price but higher quantity supply. Okay, so this is a change in cost of production, change in terms of increasing, change in terms of decreasing. So cost of production become more expensive, cost of production become cheaper. Okay, I said that there are other factors. So a change in supply curve, change supply curve from original location to new location. So Q change because of the other factor change, the other determinant change, but not the price change. Remember that one from the first slide of this movie. So those factors are the factors that cause an increase in supply curve, increase in supply, or the factor that makes supply curve move or shift to the right hand side. So what factors are they? First, a decrease in the cost of materials, labor, and the other inputs used in the production of goods or services. That means labor cost. It means material cost or the other cost. So in short, cost of production drop down, cheaper. When cost of production cheaper, producer can produce more, supply more. So produce more, increasing, supply more, the curve move to the right hand side. 2. An improvement in technology. Improvement technology, that means latest technology or modern technology can save the producer a huge cost. Okay, that's why an improvement technology can that reduce the cost of production or producing goods services. When technology can have, or improvement technology can help producer to reduce the cost of production, it means producer can produce more output, so supply increasing. We're talking about the supply curve. The curve move to the right hand side. 3. An improvement in the weather. Why? The weather become good condition. Why supply curve increase or supply curve move to right hand side, or quantity supply go up? Yes, because of when the weather improvement, or when the weather condition become better and better, so agricultural product become cheaper price, because farmer are happy, farmer can grow, can produce more agricultural products. That's why the price of agricultural product tend to be drop down. When the price of agricultural product drop down, producer in manufacturing or in service, they buy agricultural as an input. That's why cost of production for manufacturing, cost of production for service also drop down. As a result, the supply curve of manufacturing, supply curve of service also move to the right hand side. Maybe, yes, in this case, maybe you can imagine. For example, if you producing yes, maybe plastic chair. Okay, plastic chair. In order to produce a plastic chair, or maybe you need to get a rubber, get the rubber liquid, get from the tree, rubber tree. If the condition is weather condition is better or good, so rubber tree can produce rubber liquid with a large amount. That's why rubber liquid with a large amount, farmer can sell less price. So producer of plastic chair can buy a rubber liquid from farmer cheaper price. That means they can produce with cheaper cost of production, and so they can produce more. They can produce more plastic chair. Or the other, maybe you can say, talking about yes, what else from? Okay, service, for example, service. Okay, for example, you run your own hotel or restaurant and hotel, especially restaurant. If you own restaurant, that means you provide food, and the materials of to make food come from agriculture. For example, rice, or maybe meat from a cow, from the other animals, vegetables. So when the weather become good, so those agricultural, maybe vegetable grow well, rice also grow well, and animals tend to be good health. That's why everything in agriculture provide more output. So when farmer can produce more output, so the price of agricultural tend to be cheaper. That's why if you run restaurant, you buy rice to produce food, you buy meat, you buy vegetable to produce food. Those are cheaper price. The cost of production for producing food is cheaper. That's why you can produce more food and supply more to the customers. So as a result, the supply of food increasing, supply curve of food going to the right hand side. The other one, an increase in number of suppliers. Okay, in this case, for example, in one area before there were only maybe 5 suppliers, but now there are the 3 suppliers coming. So the number of supply, quantity of goods supply increasing, because the other new supplier coming, they produce more. That's why total supply will go up. When the total supply go up, that means we're talking about demand, supply curve move to the right hand side. So an increase of number of supplier also make a supply increasing. If talking about a curve move to the right hand side. An expectation of lower price in the future. This is also the other condition that make supply increase today, or supply curve move to the right today. For example, next week or next month, you are a supplier, you are a seller, you expect that next month your product that you sell will low price. That's why this month or this week you try hard to sell more. That's why when you sell more, it means that quantity supply that you sell into the market increasing. When talking about curve move to the right hand side. Okay, so these are the factors that make supply curve move to the right hand side, or that make quantity supply go up. But among this one, cost play an important role for this one. However, when these factors or these determinants move the opposite direction, supply curve supply will decrease or supply will fall. When talking about curve will move to the left hand side. Okay, so again I a little bit bold here. When this original is here, decrease, but we're talking the opposite, it should be increase. Improvement, maybe not improvement. Worst technology, worse in weather, less number of supplier, maybe expectation of high price in the future. If you expect that if you are seller and you expect that next month your product will be high price, so maybe you keep your product today, don't sell more. You keep for next month, because high price next month you will sell more. That's why when when this factor change in terms of direction, your supply will drop down, curve will move to the left or the left hand side. Okay, so if a question asking why is supply curve increase, why is supply increase, or why is supply curve move to the right hand side, can you explain? Okay, so we use this one. Okay, supply demand shifts. Movement of supply and movement of demand. There are 4 simple rules. You need to understand these 4 simple rules. Okay, you need to understand these 4 simple rules. These 4 simple rules I will present you one by one. Okay, suppose you look at this graph. This graph is about supply and demand for one product, any product that you want to study. Demand for one product, supply for one product. This is demand curve, supply curve. Demand curve, supply curve normally intersect with one point. When they intersect with one point, we can find this point is equilibrium. When you found equilibrium from this market, you can see that equilibrium price and also equilibrium quantity. Okay, so this is original equilibrium. Condition 1. An increase in demand will lead to an increase in both equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Demand increase yet? No, demand not yet increase. So demand increase, how about demand curve? If demand increase, how about demand curve? Demand curve will move to the right hand side. Okay, demand curve will move to the right hand side. An increase in demand make demand curve move to the right hand side. As a result, new demand curve cross with supply. We got new equilibrium. New equilibrium compared with old one, we can see that higher price, equilibrium price, and higher equilibrium quantity. So both increasing and increasing in both. Equilibrium price increasing and also equilibrium quantity increasing. Okay, this is 4 simple rules. This is the first. This is the second one. Okay, again, this is demand curve, this is supply curve, cross each other, got one point, this is equilibrium, this is P equilibrium, this is Q equilibrium. Second condition, a decrease in demand will lead to a decrease in both equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Okay, so demand decrease yet? No, not yet. Demand decrease, it means demand curve move to the left hand side. The left hand side. As a result, the new demand curve cross with supply, we get new equilibrium. Compare with old one, new equilibrium with lower equilibrium price and also lower or smaller quantity. Okay, this is second condition. This is the third. Again, this is demand curve, supply curve, all equilibrium with equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. The third, an increase in supply will lead to a decrease in the equilibrium price, but an increase in equilibrium quantity. So supply and increase in supply. And increase in supply, what does it mean to supply curve? Supply curve move to the right hand side. Supply curve move to right hand side, we got new supply curve. Supply curve intersect with the demand, we got new equilibrium. Compare with old equilibrium, we can see that new equilibrium with lower or cheaper price, decrease in price equilibrium, but higher quantity supply, increasing in quantity supply. Okay. First one, again, this is a original equilibrium with P equilibrium and Q equilibrium. 4. A decrease in supply will lead to an increase in equilibrium price, but a decrease in the equilibrium quantity. A decrease in supply. If supply decrease, what happened to supply curve? Supply curve will move to the left hand side. So we got new supply curve. As a result, new supply curve intersect with demand, we got a new equilibrium. Compare with old equilibrium, we can see that new equilibrium with higher price, more expensive, increase in equilibrium price, but lower quantity supply. Okay, so these are 4 simple rules of supply demand curve shift. But this 4 simple rule I present you one by one. Okay, the first one, demand curve move to the right hand side. That means increase in demand make demand curve move to the right hand side. As a result, equilibrium price go up, equilibrium quantity also more than before. Second one, demand curve move to the left, it means decrease in demand. As a result, price cheaper, quantity supply less. Third condition, supply curve increase. Supply curve increase make supply curve increase. Supply increase. If supply increase, supply curve will move to the right. Move to the right. As a result, in the market, price cheaper but quantity supply more. If supply decrease, it means supply curve move to the left. As a result, price go up, more expensive, but quantity supply drop down. Okay, look at again. These 4 graphs that represents 4 simple rules. You can see each condition only one change. This is only demand change, supply no. This is only demand change, supply no. This is only supply chain, demand no. This is only supply chain, demand no. Okay, these are 4 simple rules. Okay, exercise 3.6. What will happen to equilibrium price PE and equilibrium quantity QE in the corn sheep market? Corn is a agricultural product. Corn sheep market. If both of the following events occur. First, researchers discover that a vitamin found in corn helps people to protect themselves against cancer disease and heart disease. If the corn can help us to protect ourselves from disease, cancer, heart, so what happened to demand for corn? And what happened to supply? Okay, but this is demand or supply. You need to think by your own. This is demand chain or supply chain of the corn. Second condition, a swarm of locusts destroys part of the corn crop field. A swarm or a group of locusts. Locusts is like insect that they eat corn. Okay, insect that they eat corn. So this is what happened. So production of corn dropped down. Okay, so what happened to the price and what happened to you in case condition 1, in case condition 2. So you need to find your answer. Don't try to copy from the other. Try to understand the condition and try to think by your own to find the answer. Okay? Homework. Homework. Homework is about supply demand shifts. Remember that previous slides, supply demand shift, we have 4 simple rules. Each rule only one change. The first only demand change, second also demand change, third and fourth only supply chain. But when you look at this one, okay, there are 12 graphs that you need to draw. Okay, there are 12 graphs that you need to draw, represent each condition or each rule. Okay, each rule, because in this case not only supply chain or not only demand chain, but this case both of them change. Okay, the first rule or the first condition, an increase in demand. You know what does it mean? An increase in demand. What does it mean to demand curve? Bigger than an increase in supply. So the first condition, demand increase, supply also increase at the same time. But the increase in demand bigger than an increase in supply. So market will lead to what? Equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Must be new, but new by going up or by going down. Okay, so that's why point here. Second condition, an increase in demand smaller than an increase in supply. So this will lead to lead to, that means equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity for new. The third one, a decrease in demand bigger than a decrease in supply. This condition lead to market with a new equilibrium. New equilibrium should be what happened to equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity. Fourth, a decrease in demand smaller. Fourth, a decrease in demand smaller than a decrease in supply. So lead to what? Okay, so every condition you need to draw the graph. Below the graph you need to explain by using this sample. For example, I can take from one as the first condition. When an increase in demand is bigger, when an increase in demand is bigger or larger than an increase in supply, market will lead to new equilibrium point. The new equilibrium point comes up with, it could be higher, lower, or more expensive price or cheaper price. Quantity, if I use n, that means price and quantity go the same direction. For example, comes up with higher price and higher quantity. Equilibrium. Okay. However, some condition, price and quantity not going the same direction. They go the opposite direction. If they go the opposite direction, if the price goes up or price more expensive go up, but demand go down. Oh, sorry, not demand go down. When the price goes up but the quantity go down, you need to produce but. Okay, you need to produce but. With, for example, comes up with higher price but lower quantity. Okay, new equilibrium price, higher. What does it mean higher price? Compare with original equilibrium, new equilibrium, higher price. Higher quantity compare with original quantity, new quantity will be more or higher. Okay, so every condition you need to draw one graph, and below the graph you need to answer by using this style, but you need to fill in this blank. This blank can be filled by looking at your graph. After drawing, you can see new equilibrium. Okay, so this 4, the other 4, 5. This is the fifth condition. And equilibrium, and increase in demand greater than a decrease in supply. Demand increase, supply decrease, but demand increase greater than. 6. An increase in demand smaller than an increase in supply. Demand increase, supply decrease, but it is smaller. 7. Demand decrease, supply increase, but decrease in demand bigger than increase in supply. 8. Demand decrease, supply increase, but demand decrease or decrease in demand smaller than increase in supply. This is equally increase in demand, decrease in supply. Increase in demand equal to decrease in supply. Increase in demand equal to increase in supply. Decrease in demand equal to decrease in supply. Decrease in demand equal to increase in supply. So this is your homework. Okay, your homework. In order to draw detailed graph, maybe you need to go back to each graph or simple 4 simple rules. Each graph of 4 simple rules that I just presented in the previous slide. Okay, you can go there and see. Don't try to copy the other. Don't copy. Do it by your own. Okay. If you have some question or maybe some problems, you can contact me. Okay, this is for homework, and I will announce when it's submit or deadline. Okay, markets and social welfare. Market is about it should be about micro, or social welfare is about macro, but in this case talking about social welfare refer to benefit, social benefit. Okay, market and social benefit of welfare. Markets represents a highly effective system of allocating resources. When talking about free market or competitive market, is a good system that allocate the resource, because the result from allocation resource come from work or negotiation between suppliers, demander, buyer, sellers, producer, consumers, something else. Are the prices and quantities determined in the market equilibrium as socially optimal? Socially optimal in the sense of maximization total economic surplus. It means that when market reach equilibrium, we get equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. This equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity can make the economic surplus become biggest or biggest, maximum, biggest. Okay, not sure. That's why let's see the other one. Does equilibrium in unregulated markets? Unregulated market means free market. Does equilibrium in unregulated markets always maximize the difference between total benefits and total cost experienced by market participants? Who are market participants? Are buyers and sellers. Okay, it means that in free markets, equilibrium always make benefit of buyer, make benefit of seller become maximization. The answer is depends. Okay, the answer of this question depends. We don't have absolute answer. It depends on condition. It depends on circumstance. Unregulated market, that means free market or competitive market. In economics, we assume that all exchanges, what does mean exchange? Buying, selling. All exchanges are surely 100% voluntary or intentional. 100% by their own wish, their own plan, their own agreement. This means that a transaction takes place when the buyer's reservation price for a good higher or exceeds the seller reservation price. buyer reservation price come again, seller reservation price also come again. Don't ask me what does it mean, because I explained already. Okay, so you need to be clear, what does it mean buyer reservation price, what does it mean seller reservation price. Okay, in the market for any product, a change can be happened unless buyer reservation price greater than or bigger than seller reservation price. If the buyer reservation price is smaller than seller reservation price, buying selling cannot be happened. A change cannot be happened in this market. Okay. Thus, both buyers and sellers can receive an economic surplus. So both buyer get buyer surplus, buyer economic surplus, sellers get seller economic surplus. So buyer surplus. What does it mean buyer surplus? Buyer surplus is the difference between buyer reservation price and the price he or she actually pays. Okay, actually pay, it depends on market price. The price that he or she, the buyers actually pay. The buyer actually pay, it depends on market price. But the buyer reservation price is not market price. So buyer surplus is the difference between buyer reservation price and the price he or she actually pays. Seller reservation price. Seller reservation price is the difference between the price received by the sellers and the price, or his or her reservation price, seller reservation price. Okay. So the difference between the price received by the seller, the price received by the seller, it depends on market price. If market price say $2, seller will receive $2. And his or her or seller reservation price. So what is seller reservation price? What is buyer reservation price? Total surplus or total market surplus. You can take, okay, you can take buyer reservation price plus seller, not buyer reservation price. You can take buyer surplus plus seller surplus, this is total market surplus. Or you can find the difference between buyer reservation price and the seller reservation price. Okay, so what does it mean surplus? Maybe go back to chapter 1. Okay, surplus, economic surplus is the difference between economic revenue and economic cost. Remember that from chapter 1. Okay, maybe you are not clear in this case, or you are not so clear. Okay, this is your definition. Maybe if you go to the graph, a little bit more clear. Okay, the graph. Yes, I need to write something. A graph. This is a slide of pizza supply in thousand, and this is the price per slide. If one customer buy at 8,000 slide, is it totally 8,000 or 8,000? No, only one unit, only one slide of pizza at 8,000, only one slide, not 8,000 slides, but only one slide. Okay, because here th. If one customer buy 8,000 slide, the price selling in the market is $3. Okay, because equilibrium price is $3. The price is $3. But buyer wish to pay up to $4. Buyer wish to pay up to $4. They plan to pay, this buyer, he or she plans or wish to pay $4 per slide for this slide, this one slide. But actually market say only 3. That's why $1 here is buyer surplus. Because what is buyer surplus? Buyer surplus is the difference between buyer reservation price and the price he or she paid actually. This customer reserved $4 to buy this slide. This one slide. But when they go to the market say only 3. That's why you still have $1. This is buyer surplus. Because he or she wish to pay 4, but he or she pay only 3. That's why one still in his or her pocket. That's why this is his or her surplus in terms of buyer. However, seller at the first at this slide 8,000 slide, this slide, not the first, this one slide at 8,000, seller wish to receive $2. Wish to receive $2. Less than 2, this seller no, they don't sell. Okay, this seller doesn't sell. It's less than. Seller wish or plan to receive $2. But in the price, what they say that the price $3. That's why seller got $1 seller surplus. Okay, $1 seller surplus. Because this seller wish to get $2 per this slide, but market price is that per slide $3. That's why he or she as a seller get $1 as a seller's plus. Seller surplus. Okay, that's why when you look at this one, what is total surplus? Total surplus is $2. $2. Okay, that's why the buyer surplus 4 minus 3 1. Seller surplus 3 minus 2 1. Total surplus is $4. Or you can find the other way. Total surplus come from buyer surplus minus seller surplus. Okay, seller surplus, because actual price is $3. Buyer wish to pay 4, but seller wish to receive 2. That's why total surplus is 2. So the difference in mathematics or in statistics, the difference that means minus. The difference between 4 and 3 is 1. The difference between 4 and 2 is 2. Okay, difference that means minus. Okay, this is only one slide at 8,000 slide. Only one slide. So total surplus is $2. When the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded up to equilibrium point, where is equilibrium point? Equilibrium point is here. So what is quantity equilibrium? 12,000. When the quantity supply and quantity demanded up to 12,000 slide per day, the buyer surplus will be 18,000. And the seller surplus also will be 18,000. Okay, so in this case, the area with the blue is total. This is total. This is only one slide, or only one unit. That's why you got a one surplus for one unit. But this is up to 12,000 slide total amount at equilibrium. That's why total surplus of buyer is 18,000. Only one buyer? No. All buyers buy pizza. Together it's 18,000 plus. Only one company supply or only one producer supply? No. There are many producers, there are many companies produce pizza and supply. That's why all of them get surplus 18,000. You can ask me how to find 18,000. Okay? How to find 18,000? Look at this area. This is buyer surplus. Buyer surplus, the area is triangle. Right? Triangle. Because three three lines together. But special, this is a right angle. Right angle, that means 90 degrees. How to find the area of right triangle? Okay, or how to find the area of triangle? So the area, or maybe we call, in English we call area, but maybe in our high school we call as square. Equal to half base multiplied by height. Okay, you can take this base, or you can take height, or this base is height. It depends on. Same thing as here. This is also triangle because three lines together. But however, this is also right angle. Right angle, that means 90 degrees. Do the same formula. Okay, reminder. Why we get 8,000? Because this is 12 multiplied by something here. This is 12. 12, right? This is 12. 12 multiplied by 2 and divided by 5, 18,000. You will not find 18,000 if you not including these units. Okay. Yes. So this is total surplus. This is only 1 unit surplus of buyer, 1 unit surplus of seller. But in the market, not only one buyer buy, not only one seller sell. There are many buyers together, there are many sellers together. Okay. So what is total surplus? You can add two of them together. This is total market surplus. Okay. Cash on table. Cash on table. Who can get cash on table? For example, this table, cash on this one. Who can get this cash put into pocket? When a market is out of equilibrium, not at equilibrium. This is equilibrium. This is equilibrium. If market at equilibrium, no cash on table, because everyone get their own benefit in the pocket. But because of equilibrium not at the market or at equilibrium, people have failed to take advantages of all mutual benefits financial exchange. So when the market is out of equilibrium, not at equilibrium, the people, buyers or sellers, they get benefit but not really good benefit. They got but not really the point that the benefit that they want. Okay, that's why this is they fail to take advantage of all mutually beneficial exchange. We often say that there is a cash on table. Cash on table everyone can see, but who can get it? Who can catch it? Cash on table is economist metaphor, imaginative ways for unexploited gains from exchange. Unexploited gain. Okay. Assume that price controlled by $2. Actually 3 is market equilibrium price, but now controlled by $2. The quantity supply fall from 12,000 to 8,000. The buyer reservation price fall at 8,000 at the buyer at the last unit of supply, not total 8,000 but only last unit of supply. Okay, last unit of supply, it should be, yes, I said again, 8,000. This is last unit of supply because total supply only 8,000. That's why the last unit of 8,000 is 8,000. Okay. So the last unit of supply, buyer wish to pay for. But what they paid actually, they pay only 2 because controlled by government. Government say no to pay only 2. That's why government pay only force them to pay only 2 because government say this $2 per unit. They wish to pay 4, but they pay actually $2. That's why they still have 4. Yes, sorry, not 4. They still have 2. Should be 2 is 2 is buyer surplus. Okay, but how about a seller? Seller wish to receive 2, but actually they receive 2. Actually they receive 2. So buyer reservation price $4 is greater than the seller reservation price $2. In this case, because the buyer still have more surplus, both buyers and seller would benefit from additional production. Okay, from additional production. This is we call cash on table, additional production. If produce more and sell more, so everyone can get more benefit, because if you use more you can get, that means if you use more and sell more, or if you can buy more, the cash on table everyone can get it to put in the pocket. But if you cannot use more and sell more, cash on table is still on table, you cannot get it. Okay. Social optimum quantity. So how many units that is social optimum? Optimal, what does it mean? The best. What quantity should be produced for the best level in society, in the countries? That's why socially optimal quantity. The quantities are a good that results in the maximum possible economic surplus from producing and consuming the good. Social optimum quantity occurs when marginal cost equal to marginal benefit. Remember that one, marginal cost and marginal benefit in chapter 1. Is it principle or analysis? Cost benefit principle or cost benefit analysis that is explaining about marginal cost and marginal benefit? I don't know, you know. Economic efficiency occurs when all goods and services are produced and consumed at their respective social optimal levels. Okay, if producers, suppliers, consumers, buyers can produce and can consume at respect to their social benefit or social optimal levels, this economic in this country, in this society will be efficient. Achieve economic efficiency, maximize the economic surplus, increases the economic pie. Economic pie, the amount of economic activities or economic benefit. Pie should be pie is like a cake. If you have big cake, you have a slice of. If you have big cake, so every slice of cake tend to be bigger amount. Okay, it's like pizza. Pie like pizza. If you have bigger pizza, so you can every slice of pizza tend to be big amount of pizza. But if you have small pie, a small pizza, every slice of pizza tend to be small amount. That's why achieving economic efficiency is to maximize the economic surplus, is to increase the economic pie. How about inefficient market equilibrium? Inefficient when some cost of product fall or going to a burden by people other than the one who produce and supply. This is not efficient. Okay, for example, I'm producing goods, but most of the cost, for example, maybe tax or maybe the other cost, not cost of production, go to someone else, not me. That's why this market is not efficient. Okay, when the cost that going to the people rather than going to people that not producer, not seller. Seller they get less, they pay less cost, but not the other cost going to the other people to pay, while they are not sellers or producers. That's why this market is inefficient. When some benefits from goods which accrue to people did not buy. And so when, for example, I buy goods, but maybe benefit going to the other one they don't buy. They get more better. So this is inefficient for me. Why is it inefficient for me? Because I buy it and want to get it, but the benefit going not to me, but going to the other people that they don't buy. That's why this is inefficient. Okay, come up to the end of this chapter. So these are the questions for reviewing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can read by your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, only 10 is the last one. So there, at the end of this chapter, you have 10 questions, but not 10 question marks. You see, this is 2 question marks. 1, 2, 3 question marks. You have 10 questions, but not 10 question marks. You have more than 10 question marks to answers. Okay, so I end this slide by, I will continue with the new movie with appendix. The appendix of chapter 3 is about algebra of supply and demand. This appendix link or connect to chapter 1 appendix, but chapter 1 appendix tend to focus on mathematics, because we use x equals y variables. But in this case, we're talking about market. We're not looking x and y. We're looking product. When we're talking about product, we're talking about price of that product, and we're talking about quantities of that product that are available in the market. So we still use concept from mathematics, like explained in appendix chapter 1, because algebra is about mathematics. Okay, demand curve. For example, demand curve. Equation are straight. Straight, that means not move, not change direction. Is going straight. The equation are straight line demand curve or linear equation demand curve. That means is when talking about equation is the first degree, not second degree or not third degree, or first degree. For example, this is a general demand curve. We don't know for anything, but we don't know for anything for this one, but we just recognize that this is a variable, this is variable, this is what we want to find, okay. Remember from appendix 1, I'm not saying at that time I did not say p by, but at that time I think you still remember a plus b x. Okay, so when talking about y is a vertical axis. When talking about x is horizontal axis. Okay, y, x. This is graph. But in this chapter, we're not saying y, we're not saying x. Instead, y replaced by p, x replaced by q. That's why you can p and x, p and y, they changeable location. Q and x, a changeable location. So in this case, we call P equal to A plus B QD, because we're talking about demand. Okay, we're talking about demand. P, yes, maybe you need P. We already learned from the whole chapter 3. P represents, or P is the price of product that we study. QD quantity demanded for that product. Okay. A is vertical intercept. It's similar. It's the same meaning as appendix chapter 1. B is slope. Yes, slope of demand curve. Normally, yes, from previous appendix is negative slope, or from the whole chapter or chapter 3 we can see that slope of demand curve is negative. Why is it negative? Remember that this negative sign, remember that it refers to the property of demand curve. Okay. B, the slope of demand curve is negative sign because it represents the property of demand curve. Based on figure A, 3A.1 on page 85 textbook, you can get that P equal to 16 minus 2 QD. P equal to 16 minus QD. Okay, so this is negative sign. Supply curve. Equation of straight line supply curve or linear equation supply curve, similar to demand curve, but I just change CD. I don't put A, B, because if I put A, B, maybe you confuse with the same value of those ones. That's why I put the different letter in order to avoid you confusing. So P equal to C plus D QS. P again is the price of product that we study. QS is the quantity supply of product that we study. C is the vertical intercept, similar to A as the previous one. D is slope of supply curve. In terms of slope of supply curve, a positive slope. Why the slope of supply curve is positive? Because this represents the property of supply curve. Okay, maybe you can remind, not to go. You can remind what is the property of supply curve. Previous one, what is the property of demand curve. Okay, based on figure 3A.1 on page 86, we can get that supply curve, supply equation, P equal to 4 plus 4 QS. You see, this is positive. Okay. Previous slide here, you got demand curve. This slide, you got supply curve. Question: find the equation price and not equation. Find the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity in this market. You know how to find equilibrium? How to get equilibrium price? How to get equilibrium quantity? In order to find or in order to get equilibrium price or equilibrium quantity, you need to find equilibrium market. Okay, you need to find equilibrium market. So I also mentioned already how to get equilibrium market. Okay, now you can find it for me. That's why practice. Okay, this is practice. Besides practice exercise or example 3A.1 on this page, the other, this is the extra, not this is the other. Exercise 3A.2, you have 3 questions. A, find equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity in a market whose supply and demand curves are given by this one. This is what is it here? What is it here? So when you get plus QS, this is a supply curve, minus QD, this is demand curve. Okay, so find equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity in the market with the supply curve like this, demand curve like this. If you find equilibrium, you need to draw a graph. I mean, when you draw, you need to draw supply curve and you need to draw demand curve. So supply curve, demand curve must cross each other with one point. This point is equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. When you know equilibrium, based on the graph you draw, you can find buyer surplus, seller surplus, and total surplus. Okay, you can find that one. So this is for you to practice. And not only that one, we have the others. This is just giving you information and asking some question. This is giving you equation, and asking you some questions. So this is information. You are given a task for analysis the market for sport bike. You found that when the market price of bike is $500 per bike per unit, the market demand is 9,200 bikes, whereas the market supply is only 6,000 bikes. Yet when the price rises from 500 to 650, the market demand is 6,800 bikes, but market supply 8,000 bikes. Based on this information given, your tasks are: 1. Define equations of market demand and equation of market supply for bike. You know what the form of equation for market demand and the form of equation market supply. B. When you know equation, you can find equation of demand, you can find equation of supply. B. Find equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity, and draw a graph to show this market. That's why in order to find equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, you need to find equilibrium market or market equilibrium, and then draw a graph. After drawing a graph, you need to estimate, you need to find consumer's surplus. This is what is consumer surplus. So consumer surplus is the same thing as buyer surplus. Producer surplus. User surplus is the same thing as, the same meaning as seller surplus. And buy market surplus or total market surplus for bike, sport bike. So this is the other practice for you. Okay. Next one. We are given the market information for phone like as below. This is give you table. This is not table. This is give you information. This is tables. Price of the phone, quantity demanded for phone, quantity supply of phone. For example, when the price of phone $200 per unit, the quantity demanded will be 26,000. Quantity supply only 12,000. The price go up, quantity demanded go down, but quantity supply go up. Based on this table, define market demand equation, market supply equation. Find equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity in this market. Draw the graph to show this market. Okay, this not asking you surplus. Last question. Last practice exercise. You are given the market information of pizza as below. This one, pizza. This is the graph that shows you the demand and supply curve of pizza. Based on this graph, define market demand equation and market supply equation for pizza, and estimate the surplus. Okay, estimate the consumer surplus or seller surplus. Consumer surplus or buyer surplus, producer surplus or seller surplus, and total market surplus. Okay, so this is the last one. Okay, so I'm not explaining too much because it related to the content that I explained in appendix chapter 1. Okay, I think some of you can do it and some of you cannot. If some of you cannot, or if you cannot do it, okay, you can contact me or we can discuss in order to find the way out to get the solution. Okay, so this is for your work, and remember that you have homework and this is practice. You can submit all of them together to me. Okay, so now it's for you to work, and again you need to subscribe. The one who not yet subscribe my channel, click like and comment. okay, click like uncommon.